witnessed several young Filipino-Chinese entrepreneurs make their names in different industries. A Wharton-educated economic analyst, director at think tank Integrated Development Studies Institute, and the chairman emeritus of the Anvil Business Club. Let's all get to know George C.
First step is not that hard if you are already in a situation where the opportunity is nearby. Philippines is full of opportunities, so we also want to encourage this and let people realize the growth rate and the prospects in the Philippines are so great that we don't really need to look elsewhere for the markets, but we do need to look for technologies and knowledge and systems from everywhere in the world. I attribute my success as an extension, in a way, of my dad's very entrepreneurial bent, because it inspired me to go into business also. But it wasn't always like that in the beginning. I think it's much like many of the younger Chinese today. At that time, I was a little envious of friends who worked in Makati and in the banks when I was asked to work in manufacturing. But after a while, it was interesting. We worked with the regular laborers, with people who are doing junks, people who are engineers. And then later on, when we went into garments, then I had the chance to work with advertising people, models. So the experience was quite wide, and studying in management engineering was very useful for this range of activities. I realized very early on the power of the Chinoy, the Chinese network. Then I developed investors and sources of business there. So for instance, reading from the magazines about how people started business, I came across articles in real estate and also how people dealt in garbage. And so I started looking out for garbage-related raw materials. And my first business was buying waste products from all the factories around us, and then I would resell them to furniture makers. I think might have been difficult if I was working in a bank or elsewhere, in inviting our clients and suppliers to join me in investments, which luckily was successful, and from then on, it rolled on to other things. Then I had the chance to go to Wharton School in the US, and it was a very good education. I was able to use it to expand my business later on. For instance, they taught how you can get financing. That helped me increase my business substantially apart from that of the family. I was also able to use it to restructure financing for the company. That helped us diversify into different industries like fast food, garments, other consumer goods, now cosmetic products, and so on. I think the most core of this value is that you have to work hard, and that overcomes problems from systems of government, from circumstances being against you, family problems coming up, almost anything. If you will work hard and be positive and not focus on the negative things, but work at solving them, then you can have a very good life. The pandemic has taught me that life changes so quickly. Just before this pandemic started, we were about to borrow over $1 billion to buy a business, and luckily we didn't. We were about to buy a beach to do a resort, and we didn't. We're not lucky only in the things we achieve, we're lucky in the things that we didn't get into. It started out as just a barkada eating club and talking about what we want to do next and inviting other people who are interested. But apparently, it turns out that there's a very wide group of young Chinoy business people who want the same thing. So it just grew on itself. And a little strategy there, we mixed girls with boys, which is unusual for Chinese organizations at that time. And then we put a lot of fun, so it's not too serious. We had a lot of social activities. We traveled out together. So because the culture is that the people are willing to work together and they're responsible, they know how to do logistics, how to organize things, how to finance things. So when we had the members join, they willingly contributed their efforts. So it wasn't very hard to get activities going and recruiting more people. Unlike in the earlier years, the people's character is changing so much. So we have to redevelop, re-innovate the club each time in terms of the types of topics, the types of instruments that we use and the activities that they have. Especially in this pandemic, we had a lot of charitable projects. Anvil itself was able to get donations, charities from both local Chinoys and China people, nearly 30 million worth. And we also worked with the Federation of Filipino Chinese Chambers and other chambers of commerce, and we helped distribute goods all throughout the country and in dozens of hospitals and municipalities. Meanwhile, we have, of course, the Zoom meeting, so it allows us to internationalize. We want to thank Globe My Business for sponsoring many of the activities for the year. They are helping us introduce technologies, orienting our members on particular apps that the members have begun to realize, even on their own, that is very helpful. In terms of operations, it becomes far more efficient. So what we're doing also is to try to convince the government and agencies to adopt more technologies. We're also trying to have push everyone to do technology, one of which is to go into digital transactions with the use of GCash. So that's been very helpful. I'm sure Globe My Business knows that everyone has so many more transactions now. There are some basics that is the same throughout the generations. You have to have the desire. Everyone dreams about being successful. Success doesn't get you everything, but success takes away some of your problems and creates new ones. What it takes is you have the desire, but the desire needs to become a drive, which means you have to work at it. Otherwise, it's just a dream. So when you have the drive, then you have to create the circumstances that allow you to succeed. That means you have to have a team, an ecosystem, the financing. And some people would say, well, I don't have it. My parents are poor, we don't have a business, and so on. But Anvil and the Chinese culture, why it's valuable, is it teaches you not to wait for things to come. You help create it. If you don't have it, you find someone who has, and then you show that you're trustworthy and you're hardworking, and they will always back you up. The more you're able to realize your visions and what you want, then the better life you might have, but not necessarily because your directions might be wrong. Part of it is being able to listen to the market, how to listen to people who are wiser and more experienced than you, and then create your own combination. You don't have to make the mistakes that other people have made before. The older person with experience and a track record of success probably knows more than you, so you better listen. Go look for these people and immerse your time with them a little more than you immerse time with just the people you enjoy. Both in the club and in our relationships with outside, even with people we might have rivalries or disputes with, we can always work together. And we are all part of the links of a chain, and we all have to do our part. So we encourage everyone to do their part. You complain, you ask other people to improve, but you can learn and improve yourself. I am George C. 我是李栋梁, Chairman Emeritus of Anvil Business Club. I'm a modern Tao Ke.